edition of the NBA Slate Starter podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down Monday's 9-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo. I had to sing the intro. I thought it was nice, didn't you?
Wow, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed.
They're our presenting sponsor. After everybody's ears are bleeding, we'll continue on. But what were you going to say?
Were you an opera singer at some time in your life?
I was not, but I heard Matt Savoca got a scholarship to NYU for singing. He does some of the football content for Awesemo. NYU, prestigious. Gonna think you're probably pretty good with the pipes in that situation.
I bet. No, that's really impressive. I had heard about that as well. I'm not shocked. And Matt Savoca, very, very talented man himself. I mean, great football mind. And make sure to check him out tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll be covering the Monday night. I think I'm on live before lock. I would assume that I am for the NFL stuff. All the days bleed together. NFL was awfully fun today. It was a fun slate, unless Patrick Mahomes rip. I'm so sorry, Ryan. He's your boy. I mean, he's my boy too, but it is just not a good day for the Kansas City Chiefs. But this is an NBA podcast. Right now, we are talking about Sunday, and we're going to be leading it into Monday. But right now, as I'm looking at everything that's going down on Sunday, it looks like it's Cole Anthony and Julius Randle night. How about that?
Yeah, it's NBA DFS for you. You never know who can really pop off at low ownership. And Cole Anthony just having a massive day. Obviously, a very, very talented player in his own right. He's had some games, but he's having a career night. And if you're on top of the field with the ownership on him, you're sitting pretty. And it's NBA DFS. You know how tilting it can be. Missing out on that Embiid double-double is very tilting, especially that DraftKings bonus would have been nice. But you know what? There's a late-night hammer in Anthony Davis and Steph Curry tonight, so we'll see.
So we talk a lot about the pricing. We're going to start DraftKings, then go to FanDuel, then go to Yahoo. We go position by position. But just talking to the Joel Embiid thing, the reason it's so tilting is because game theory is a huge part of what we do. Late swap, a big part of what we do. And to get Joel Embiid at 11.32%, I'm looking at in this $40 single entry, going to the fadeaway as I'm looking at it here. He's only 14.82%, sub 15% Joel Embiid against OKC with no really resistance. I mean, no Ben Simmons is obviously out there. Won't be probably for a while. Rip to that too. But Joel Embiid, God, I mean, what a crazy ceiling to get at low ownership. And you feel like you're going to hit those every time. But one more rebound definitely changes that box score.
Definitely. And every fractional point in NBA DFS especially can be the biggest difference between 1 and like 5th place. That's just how competitive the lineups are and how close and tight-knit the lineups can be towards the end of the night. So every single point for your player, every single fractional point for your player goes a long way. And it's unfortunate, but for every good beat, you have a bad beat, and this was a bad beat.
Jalen Green, good beat for everybody. 48 from him. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 52. I'm pretty happy with my lineups otherwise. Oh, except for, the Robert Williams that exists. But that is the way the cookie crumbles. Ryan, are you ready to get going, my dude?
Let's ride.
Let's ride to the top. We go to DraftKings. Right off the bat, first guy listed, first price, it's garbage. It's absolute garbaggio. It's James Harden against the Washington Wizards at 9,500. I don't really know what to say. Trae Young then at 9,300. Damian Lillard, 9,300. I think both of those, the kind of ceilings there. Trae Young, I'm just biased and I never play like ever. It's not going to burn me. It hasn't burned me yet. I'm sure he'll have a super ceiling, 10 threes, triple-double kind of outing here one of these games, but I'm just probably not going to be there until that price adjusts. And Damian Lillard, we know the ceiling there, but with CJ McCollum, another tough one. I mean, James Harden is the class of the position. He's going to be crazy on tomorrow, no?
Oh, for sure. And yeah, he's off to a slow start-ish in the season so far. I mean, he's going to be on a back-to-back. He hasn't topped 50 fantasy points yet on the season. I expect that to change tomorrow. $9,500 for James Harden. I don't expect that price tag to be sub 10K any longer. It shouldn't be. It's James Harden. We know how talented he is. He should smash in this matchup. I love that $9,500 price tag over there on DraftKings for James Harden. But like you said, Trae Young, $9,300 in a matchup versus Detroit. Yeah, he's going to need to get there with his three-pointers. And you like his shot volume. You like it if he's going to take 22 shots. Is he going to need 22 shots against the Detroit team? I don't think so. I just would love to find those extra $200 to get up to $9,500 Harden. Dame Lillard, similar to Trae Young, can he have that super ceiling performance? Yeah, he can. It's going to come on the ways of a bunch of logo threes, and that's who Dame Lillard is. It's but a matchup against the Clippers, I don't mind it. It's a great contrarian play off of him. Malcolm Brogdon, $7,900 taking on the Bucks. That's another good spot. He's off to a hot start, a really hot start. He did this last year and 2 years ago as well. He just gets off to a torrid start at times in the season, and his body kind of wears down. He's kind of injury prone. So kind of riding Malcolm Brogdon with this price tag. I don't think he'll have to worry about that Drew Holiday defense bothering him. I believe Holiday is doubtful. So Brogdon's not too bad, but I prefer LaMelo Ball over him. How do you feel about LaMelo Ball and transitioning into the mid-tier? Does anyone else stand out to you as we go down?
I'm hoping LaMelo Ball. I'm hoping that it's sneaky to be able to get to him just because, I don't know, people probably look at the box scores a lot, especially through 2 or 3 games. And this is what I talked about on the Live Before Lock show with SGA, is just not overreacting to a 2 or a 3 game sample or what's going on. We don't know everything yet. We don't know the way rotations are going to pan out. Certain rookies are going to be able to emerge from game to game. It's going to be volatile. Jalen Suggs goes nuts. Tonight, he's an absolute dud against the Knicks, and that's the kind of stuff that's going to happen. LaMelo Ball hasn't played 30-plus minutes in a game, but it goes further than that. Ish Smith went completely bonkers against Brooklyn, and they kind of ran them out of the gym, and it was all Ish Smith going crazy, and LaMelo Ball was like, yeah, no, I'll just let him go, and that was kind of it. LaMelo Ball only played 26 minutes. So I'm not going to overreact to stuff like that. And then you look at like the rest of this team. Terry Rozier's already been ruled, or he was ruled out for Sunday. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to go tomorrow. That's a huge piece of news to keep track of. Boston on a back-to-back. So I'm looking at that whole situation with Jaylen Brown as well. We'll see how those kind of injuries pan out, but it's a 9-game slate. We're going to find tons of value, but LaMelo Ball, I love because of the kind of upside he has, filling up a stat sheet every single game. He's very, very confident from 3, and I expect some regression after his last 2 outings, where I believe he's gone 2 for 9 in the last 2 outings combined, after going 7 for 9 his first game out and just blowing that slate out of the water. So like that call by you. Dinwiddie's up to 7K. Thank you, Jesus. They're adjusting prices a little bit here now, so that's good. And then Cole Anthony, who just put up a 64.5 outing here as I'm looking at it. They're going to beat the Knicks, which is just crazy. But again, we don't know everything yet. Cole Anthony, 6,200. Maybe people chase that. And we've got a guy who's questionable in Kyle Lowry. So looking at the Miami side, what kind of opens up for you with some of these injuries here at the point guard position?
Yeah, and keeping an eye on that Kyle Lowry situation is going to be really important. It's going to open up for some minutes for Tyler Hero to get some more minutes in the backcourt. He played 41 minutes last game against Indiana. That's a ton of minutes. And Tyler Hero, I know I spoke ill of him, has been off to an amazing start so far. If he's going to get anywhere near those minutes, I don't expect that to happen. But $6,400, if we get no Lowry tomorrow, it's safe to project him at least in the low 30s minutes, mid 30s minutes. And if he's really upped his game, I don't mind it. I'm not looking forward to hoping to make that decision in matchup versus Orlando, but we'll see what the ownership comes in at. That's how I feel about Hero. Nothing great. I'll have to play it by ear and essentially wait on that ownership. A guy who I do like is, if you're not going to get Trae Young, is going to Bogdan Bogdanovic. $5,800 I just think is too cheap, and I know he has an upside within him. You would like to get double-digit shot volume as the season progresses, and at $5,800 in a matchup versus Detroit, I think that could definitely happen. Shooters in play, if there's no Jaylen Brown, I do expect Jaylen Brown to return. Shooter comes in at $5,600. Was fine today. Keep an eye on the Gary Harris situation. Jalen Suggs is $5,100. Was very disappointing today, as he had 70. He took I don't know how many shots he took today, but he did take 17 shots in the game against the Knicks on I believe it was Friday night. But I think he just gave way to Cole Anthony's career night today. So just going all the way down, cheaper prices. A guy like Goran Dragic is only $4,100. I know the minutes have not been there. I don't know what's going on with that rotation there. I do think Dragic should be playing 20-plus minutes at some point, but $4,100, Dragic just feels cheap. It's Goran Dragic, but I don't know what's happening with the Toronto rotation. keep an eye with on the Bradley Beal situation. Aaron Holiday did start Friday's game, played 25 minutes. Not exciting or anything, but a matchup versus Brooklyn, $3,500 is $3,500. We need salaries. We need to save salaries somewhere. But anyone else as we round out DraftKings in the cheaper end stand out to you?
Yeah, not really. We're going to jump over to FanDuel and take a look at some of that there. We've got LaMelo Ball, 8,200, Malcolm Brogdon, 8,300. The prices are a little bit more adjusted there. James Harden's too cheap at 10K. Damian Lillard's an overpay at 10-1, but you're paying for a ceiling and low ownership. So I guess it makes sense if you have a chalkier lineup elsewhere. The guys who really stand out, Spencer Dinwiddie, 6,500, much better price there. Lonzo Ball coming off of he's really kind of off to a great start. I feel really good about this Bulls team beating up on bad teams. I don't know what they're going to look like when they start playing some serious competition. Toronto sure ain't it. But Detroit, New Orleans, Detroit, that's a great, nice start to the schedule. And Toronto, not nearly as imposing either. Jalen Suggs is now an overpay at 5,800 there. Cole Anthony, 4,900, should be crazy popular coming off tonight. That'll be curious. What are you going to do with a Cole Anthony coming off of, I don't know, he's at 66.5. Yep, that's what he finished with on DK. I'm not sure FanDuel what it translates to, but 4,900. Is that a fade against Miami?
A 9-game slate, more inclined to a fade. I know $4,900 is very cheap, but it's Cole Anthony. It's not like he's consistently going to put that out. I mean, it's we got to be able to pivot off some sort of ownership like that. And if that burns me on a 9-game slate on a site like FanDuel, obviously everyone you essentially mentioned is point guard, shooting guard eligible, except for LaMelo Ball, who's point guard only, and Trae Young. So those guys are all have multi-position eligibility, and Cole Anthony, I believe, at $4,900 has dual position eligibility as well. So he's going to be very popular just because of the recency bias. And yeah, I think I'll be willing to come under the field, and if that burns me, it burns me. But we'll have to see what injury news break throughout the day. The Gary Harris situation opens up minutes in that backcourt, so that's very important to monitor as well. But you mentioned a ton of great options. Another guy who definitely stood out to me and who hasn't kind of got around is Fred VanVleet, $7,900 in a matchup versus Chicago. I just think VanVleet has the opportunity to have a ceiling performance. And playing those high 30s minutes, I think there's a pathway for him to be an excellent option, especially on FanDuel. D'Angelo Russell, you like those minutes to get over 30. Minnesota's done a good job of beating up on bad teams. So a matchup against the Pelicans again. So I think $7,400 for D'Angelo Russell is a great tournament option over there. But I think we're good to go on to the shooting guard position.
Yeah, I think so too. Just around Yahoo as well, the guys who stand out to me there, James Harden, $48. He's the most expensive. The pricing is the best over here with Spencer Dinwiddie at $26, D'Angelo Russell, $27. Those are both hard to get to as well. So good job for them for pricing some of these guys up. And there aren't as many options at the point guard spot. That's probably going to be a payout for James Harden and move on in a lot of those lineups. LaMelo Ball, $38, pretty expensive as well, but another guy to definitely be looking at. So well done by Yahoo, our sponsor. Did a great job. We'll go over to shooting guard. I'll cover a little bit more over there, but let's go over there. We have on DK on the top end, Bradley Beal's questionable. Big piece of news on this slate. Zach LaVine then at 8,400. Again, I've talked about how I was hoping that the prices would adjust and come down here a little bit. 52.25, 49. You didn't even necessarily need either of those performances at 8,700 and 8K, I guess, was the other one. His price tag's been wildly fluctuating. I find that to be pretty strange. And these Chicago Bulls, I mean, Vooch is the guy who took the big price cut. Now he's back up to 9K again after everybody was rostering him when he was sub 8K. For whatever reason, he was 7,800 against the Pelicans. That was a weird thing. But, all of these Bulls guys, you're basically paying up to be contrarian and hoping for the ceiling game. Hard to see a ton of interest there. Maybe I'm wrong. And then Fred VanVleet, 7,600. I'm right there with you. Absolutely love him on this slate. Talk to me about the top end of shooting guard.
Yeah, Bradley Beal is going to be a big injury news on the slate. Obviously, I think there's news he was a limited participant. So it's going to be key news for the slate because that will open up some value to take advantage of for this Washington team against this Brooklyn matchup. Brooklyn got pretty beat up by the Charlotte Hornets earlier this afternoon. So we shall see what happens with the Beal indication. Zach LaVine, I think you explained the situation perfectly with that Chicago team. $8,400. Can he have that ceiling performance? I think he needs to get there very scoring dependent wise. So it could definitely happen in a matchup versus Toronto, but I'm less inclined to believe so. The minutes are great for him. That's really about it. And we'll see what the ownership looks like at $8,400. Going down, Anthony Edwards, someone who has been exceptionally good to start off his sophomore season. The shot volume, north of 20 shot attempts. You love to see that. I expect that to continue. The minutes are great. He's getting involved peripheral-wise, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 assists the first couple of games. We'll see if that's sustainable. It's not that something he didn't have much of last year. Maybe he's expanded his game. So I really like Anthony Edwards, $7,500. I don't think he'll be that popular maybe, but I do like that price tag quite a bit. We touched on a lot of guys who had dual position eligibility. Will Barton, another option, $5,700. Had a great game for the first night out. Came back to earth a little bit. I do like his minutes. Expect him to be in the mid-30s minutes. I think it's a solid option. Boston hasn't looked all that great defensively to start the season. I do expect that to change. Other guys, they've finally priced up Duarte up to $5,400. A little interesting fiasco I heard on Saturday night where he went down. Other guys in the shooting guard spot, no one really jumps out at the page right now as they scroll down to see the prices. Terrence Mann, $4,400 is fine. Nothing too exciting. But KCP is someone who played a lot of minutes and just did KCP things. I thought maybe potentially leaving the Lakers, he might show flashes of his old self in Detroit, but $3,800, played 35 minutes and did nothing in terms of fantasy-wise. Very poor performance there, but I think we touched on a lot of good shooting guard options. Keep an eye on value opening up throughout the day, but anyone I miss on the shooting guard spot, Eric? I feel like you have someone that you really want to say.
No. I was going to interrupt to, well, first of all, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm respectful like that. And so I kind of just bit down on my tongue. But second of all, DeAnthony Melton is 73.61% owned in the $15, which is just an absurd number. And of course, he starts the game off 3 rebound bucket. It's like, okay. So there's annihilation. I tried to pivot off in some of the dead lineups with Robert Williams, and now they're just deader. So that's exciting. I have him in all my good lineups, but yeah, there aren't enough of them. I would hope I can do better tomorrow with that. But no, I mean, I have a lot of Jalen Green and Shea. I'll be okay. Going to FanDuel, we're looking at shooting guard there. Fred VanVleet, you had talked on. Anthony Edwards as well. Love that. Chris Middleton, in the event that you get Drew Holiday out as well. Sounds like that's pretty likely. 35 minutes of him would be great. Looks like Giannis is just going to be limited here coming out of the gate. I believe he's only played like 30. He hasn't played over 30 minutes, I don't believe, in his first 3. And Chris Middleton could definitely pick up some of that offensive load. That would be a good thing for them as well, and a good thing for lineups that had him in it. But yeah, I need to get Drew Holiday out of there for sure. Going down to the rest of it, Tyler Hero 6,200 on FanDuel. That's cheaper than where he's at on DK. Your alarm bells should be going off in your head anytime somebody's cheaper on FanDuel. Just keep that in mind going forward for anybody newer to NBA DFS who's catching us for the first time. The way pricing works out, you have a min of 3K on DK, you have a min of 3,500 on FanDuel, and a minimum of $10 on Yahoo. Everything has got to be in relation to that salary structure. So I'm looking at that. Reggie Jackson, played 39 and 36 minutes his first 2 games out. And then, they're going to be going here up against Portland, 5,600 for him on FanDuel. That's a very advantageous tag. I think something that give me 36 plus minutes of him there. You can probably see some upside there, but that kind of rounds it out for me. Terrence Mann, 4,400, if you really want to include him in the pot of players that could play 35 minutes potentially, but 39 minutes his first game, 26 second time out. Stuff like that is going to happen for these dudes, but he got secured the bag, so I feel pretty secure he's going to be a part of that rotation big time going forward.
Yeah, I think that's something definitely. I agree with you there. Another guy whose minutes I'm curious to see what happens early on with this Atlanta Hawks rotation is Cam Reddish. He showed out the first couple nights. Keep an eye on that. Maybe it's something that Nate McMillan's going to make a priority of getting him involved in this rotation actively going forward. I'm really, I do feel very strong on his offensive prowess and just an overall player. So we'll see what happens with the Cam Reddish situation on the Hawks. Keep an eye on that price tag. Maybe it's a position where we're going to be early. Franz Wagner, $4,100. this whole Magic team just gave way to Cole Anthony. So $4,100 Franz. Shout out to Michigan. I think he can be another great spend down option potentially on the Gary Harris situation, and seeing what the rotations would look like if Harris were to play. We'll see what that's going to be like. But if he's out, I think we can go to him. Javon Carter started for the Nets earlier this afternoon. Javon Carter is someone who is known for his defense. I think he was college basketball's defensive player of the year when he left. He's bounced around. He went from Memphis to Phoenix and now back in Brooklyn. An excellent defender. For him to pay off that price tag, it's going to be difficult offensively when you're sharing the court with James Harden and Kevin Durant. So don't just jump to him just to see if he starts again. Just be careful. There's a serious floor with that. Just because he's starting doesn't mean he's a great fantasy player right off the bat. His price is nice, though.
Look at this, Ryan. Lots of players you don't like on this slate. I'm loving this. I'm all about this life. I'm here to just watch them suffer. But don't play Javon Carter. I don't think I want to be interested in those kind of things. Can I ask you about Nikhil Alexander Walker? Because he's been extremely consistent. He's played 32 plus minutes every single time out of the gate, got up to 35 and a half minutes there against Minnesota in a close loss. These Pellies are 0-3. I doubt they're going to be able to mix up anything here, but I mean, there are fantasy points to be had. No Zion out there. I feel pretty good about kind of going back to him and trying to capture some upside. I like seeing Eric Bledsoe out of town there, and now he's out with the Clippers. So can I interest you in some NAW?
No.
I see what you did that. Wow. And everybody logged off.
Nikhil Alexander Walker is someone that I think we should try to look actively and see how this progresses throughout the season. They've priced him appropriately. It's not like a pricing mistake or anything. It's just, you just want to hope he has a great day offensively. He can have that. Nikhil Alexander Walker is someone that we've known to just roster when he was cheap, filling in a spot starting for Bledsoe last year towards the end of the season. He's very talented, but I do think the price is appropriate where if you're like your last guy in, I can't really fault you. I'm not going to make an active priority to get him in my lineups, I don't think, as we look at things a day in advance.
Hey, Andrew Wiggins sucks. Imagine that. Crazy. All right. Anything else for the shooting guard position for you? I guess looking at Yahoo for a second, there are some fantastic options there. Chris Duarte, $16. Tyler Hero, $19. Both of those are just kind of flat out wrong. So there's that. Terrence Mann, who I brought up, is $13 over there. Grayson Allen, in the event that you get no Drew Holiday out there, has been playing 26 plus minutes out there. He's $11. That's a pure punt, and you're just hoping he knocks down a boatload of threes. But Josh Richardson, I don't even know what that box score ended up with. I just know that it didn't probably work out for me because it's Josh Richardson and there's no way around it. He's going to disappoint you. Yeah, 19 minutes, 7 points, 2 assists. Nothing to mine out of that, unfortunately, at $10. But anything else for you at shooting guard on Yahoo?
Duarte's only 16. That's not too bad. And I think Grayson Allen is 11. That's okay. It's nothing great. It's just like saving some money type of situation. Tyler Hero is $19. That's not too bad, I think. I think
we listed the same 3 players. That's great.
Yeah, so
those are the 3. Pivot anywhere else because I can guarantee you those will be the chalk. But Fred VanVleet, $37. You're paying for a ceiling there as well. It's bleak otherwise. I mean, there's more options than I was anticipating in shooting guard.
Yeah, I definitely do think so. I'm just looking at they've priced Bledsoe up to $21.
No thanks.
Times have changed, but yeah, no, that's really about it. Shooting guard is not that exciting. Spending up to guys like VanVleet might be the move, or Anthony Edwards is another fine option, $33.
You know what is exciting, Ryan? Boom! Yahoo! New Yahoo users get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum if you go on, deposit $10 or more for the first time, and you enter any paid contest. You will get a nice stub from Yahoo. You will then set that over to support@awesemo.com. And our guys behind the scenes, Terry, one of the nicest dudes in all of the land, will take care of you and make sure you get that 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's every single sport we offer behind the paywall, all the projections, all the tools, the industry-leading tools, the NBA boom bust tool. I cannot tell you enough times how good that thing is, how much you need to be utilizing it on a day-to-day basis. That is your edge. If you want to look for an edge in tournaments, it is finding that tool on our site, using it repeatedly, and printing money. Check it out. Stop guessing, start winning, and head over to Yahoo and start playing over there too. The best contest, the lowest management fees / rake is what a lot of people call that, but management fees are super, super low over there. I'm telling you, now is the time to head over there because then you get that free month as well. It's a win-win. I'm telling you, do it now. How about that? Look at these.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Producer Eric.
Season 2. And not only that, we went to the wide shot. I got a lovely new TV. I'll Vanna White this. There we are. Awesemo. There it is. Okay, cool. We're going to go to the small forward position. On the top end, Kevin Durant. He had a remember I'm Kevin Durant kind of game. 73.75 there on the 22nd on Friday. And then today, not nearly as good. On a back-to-back, I will just throw this out there. I'm going to throw it out there because I saved it off of James Harden. One of him or James Harden is probably going to rest tomorrow. I'm just calling it. That's just a prediction. I'm just throwing it out there. You're probably not going to be surprised by it, but if you see James Harden, parentheses, rest, and then end parentheses, you just don't be surprised. Something like that is definitely probably on the horizon. I could see a lot of Brooklyn value tomorrow, but that's just a hunch. Check out all of our programming. We only have 48 hours of it leading up to lock tomorrow. So be sure to check out all of it. To the top end, Paul George as well, a guy at 10-1. You talked about how you were interested in playing him. Well, I hope you played him in a lot of those spots. 58.25 and 66 on DK his first 2 times out of the gate. Those are good fantasy outcomes. Jimmy Butler, 8,800. Jayson Tatum, 8,700. In the event, no Jaylen Brown. Brandon Ingram, 8,300. Can I play all the small forwards tomorrow, Ryan?
Yes, you can because of multi-position eligibility on DraftKings and FanDuel. You can technically get in all 4 in a way. So, KD, obviously, in a great spot against Washington. He could. I do think they'll play. I think Kevin Durant will definitely play a lot more back-to-backs this season than last season. That's not a hot take. I just think that's what their plans were. KD at that price tag, he showed the ability of being the highest scoring player on the slate. He can do it again against Washington. I talked about how Paul George will be a 10K plus player last week, and it happened a little too quick for my liking, but here we are. He's priced appropriately at 10-1 against the Portland team. I like Paul George at 10-1. I do think he won't be that popular at that price tag. I do think we might get him a little cheaper. Jimmy Butler, 8,800. He's fine. It's like, okay. Nothing that I'm always excited to roster Jimmy Butler. Spending a little bit down, we talked about Anthony Edwards, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Middleton, $7,300 and $7,200 respectively. Solid options in my opinion. I like them both. In the next tier, Gordon Hayward, $6,900. Hasn't had that strong fantasy game yet. I know it's early. It's going to happen at some point. I know his first game was solid, but there's going to be games where Gordon Hayward can get you 40, 50 fantasy points, and I don't mind $6,900 price tag. Very nice price tag for him. Kuzma, $6,700. He's too damn expensive if Beal plays. He still kind of high if Beal doesn't play. I know he's had a strong fantasy start to this season. That's how I feel about Kuzma. I'd rather save the $700 and go to Michael Porter Jr. at $6,000. Only small forward eligible. So I think his ownership will be even lower because of that. $6K seems like a strong price point over there. Anyone else in the cheaper end for DraftKings for you, Eric, before we go to FanDuel?
Cheaper end, Franz Wagner, your boy, Michigan, 4,400. He played 32 minutes, 34 minutes, and then let me check out what his minutes were against the Knicks as well. This is a minute play. This is a guy who's in the starting rotation. Oh, Franz Wagner played 39 minutes tonight. Okay, we should keep playing him if he's going to play this ridiculous amount of minutes. And Orlando finally got their win, got their revenge after the Knicks just whooped them at home. And now, I guess it was a back-to-back it was Orlando and then New York. So I was right about that. Okay.
Home and home. Yeah.
Home and home. And then, so both road team victories. So that's an interesting anecdote, but pretty irrelevant for our purposes. Moving down the board at small forward here a little bit further, it gets really, really bleak on the bottom end. I mean, you have KCP. No, thank you. I literally don't see anything. I want to make Justice Winslow a thing. I really do. This is not a Justice Winslow anything. I don't even know if I want to play him on a 2-game slate, let alone a 9-game slate at the moment. I yearn for the days of him being with Miami and just handling the ball and being ridiculous. Those were good times, but those times have left. So I don't see anything on the bottom end. Do you?
No, not really. But Bruce Brown did crack the rotation. Played mid 20s
This
minutes.
dude.
Mid 20s minutes today. $3,500. Maybe those minutes are here to stay. I'm not sure what Steve Nash was doing the first couple of games out, not putting Bruce Brown in the rotation. So that's someone maybe. It's a very, very long shot tournament play. Just keep in mind he might not be in the rotation tomorrow. So keep that in mind.
You could get 25 or you could get 0 fun roster, but that's sometimes what you do. But is he cheap enough to really justify that at 3,500? Yeah, he's probably cheap enough to justify it. Joe Harris, 4,800. God, great shooter, but just no upside there unless he scores 35 actual points, it would seem like. But let's jump over to FanDuel. Looking at the top end of small forward, it's the same stuff. It's Kevin Durant. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo who you can play at small forward there. That's always interesting. Jayson Tatum, Jimmy Butler are pretty expensive there comparatively. Brandon Ingram, 8,200 is a more advantageous tag to be looking at. Michael Porter Jr. is more expensive over there by 1,000. I'd probably play him more so over on DK. And then Kyle Kuzma, who continues to get a ton of rostership. It is pretty nuts, actually. Been much better than I was even anticipating being, but this is what happens when you start playing 34 plus minutes without LeBron and AD on the floor with you, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe he was right about his. He made some comments before the tip off of last season how he's a. I believe he said something that he's like one of the best start. He'd be like starting on every single team in the league if it weren't for the Lakers. So maybe he had something. Maybe he's backing that all up. Kyle Kuzma, I've always thought was a. He's fine for fantasy, I guess. He's not that great of a overall NBA team basketball player, but here we are. Yeah, talking about how he's an option. But yeah, I think at those price tags, that's fine. Coming in the same price tag as Nikhil Alexander Walker, I do think if there is no Bill, Kuzma does have a higher ceiling than Nikhil Alexander Walker. Sadiq Bey had a very, very outlier. I believe he went 16. If he had like 16 rebound game, I don't think that's sustainable. But he can definitely light it up from outside. He's really worked on his game this offseason. I like Will Barton, 5,900. Solid price tag. Duarte priced up over here. I think he's a little too expensive over there on FanDuel, but he's okay. Scottie Barnes, 5,100. Cam Radish, 5,000. Seems a little too expensive for Cam Radish, but spending all the way down. Guys like Jordan Nora. I know we played him opening night, but I do think Bobby Portis might return. If Bobby Portis returns, Nora's just pretty much like cancels out of like any fantasy relevance. So that's really about it. Joe Harris can light it up from outside at $4,400. That's really rounding things out on FanDuel. News is going to change things in a hurry, but a lot of these guys have small forward, power forward eligibility. But over there on Yahoo, I was just scrolling down the list over there. KD, top price, $52. If you can find the value to fit him, don't mind him. Really like saving $700 to Paul George. I really like that $4,500 price tag for PG. It's a pretty solid price tag, I think. Mm-hmm. One of the better ones that we've talked about on Yahoo. Porter Jr., Michael Porter, that is, $26. We'll always have interest in Michael Porter Jr. I know he's disappointing couple games, last game out, but I do think he'll bounce back against Cleveland. Markkanen, $15. It's really tough to really pinpoint what's happening in that front court rotation. We're literally starting 3 bigs, and a lot of the minutes have been inconsistent of late. So it's a great tournament play, but keep in mind what the floor can be. Guys like Justin Holiday, Bruce Brown, Nora's only $11. KCP if he can turn things around in 38 minutes of play, it's only $11. But small forward, outside of Paul George, I guess Gordon Hayward stands out. You really want to spend up, it feels like, on Yahoo tomorrow. It's not usually what usually ends up happening, but tomorrow might be the day too.
All right. Well, the power forward we go where, hey, we also want to spend up for some of these ceilings. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 10-4. Kevin Durant, 10-2. Sabonis, 9,900. Jayson Tatum, 8,700. I mean, small forward and power forward are loaded tomorrow, but still James Harden's 9,500. So it's hard to prioritize all of them. You can't play everybody, but you can play more than the average person if you play 150 lineups. Shout out Awesemo's process. So make more lineups, regardless of the entry size that you can get to. And if you're building one lineup, play James Harden because he's 9,500 and eat that chalk and joy. Giannis Antetokounmpo, though, somebody that I expect he's the best fantasy performer on the planet. We just need to see 30 plus minutes at some point here. Hasn't gotten over 31 yet now through 3 games. Part of that was an obliteration against Miami. But talk to me about the top end of power forward.
Yeah, Giannis, obviously, they got waxed against Miami in their second game of the season. He doesn't need to play high 30s minutes to really pay off his salary. He could have the fantasy explosion in just high 20s minutes and low 30s minutes. So at 10-4 against Indiana, I'll have some interest in Giannis, and I don't think his ownership will really get there. I think a lot of guys will try to spend up to Harden, and maybe there's enough value to jam in both. Right now, it seems kind of sketchy to find a way to jam in both without really playing some scrubby scrubs, but I don't really think
some scrubby scrubs. I love it. Keep going.
I mean, we haven't really mentioned any outstanding value, it seems like, but Sabonis in that same game, $9,900, has definitely an upside. I do prefer finding the extra $500 for Giannis. I do think Sabonis is like priced pretty appropriately. Jayson Tatum, $8,700. I think he's in play even if Jaylen Brown plays. $8,700 for Jayson Tatum. I do think he can definitely pay off that price tag. Ingram, $8,300. I prefer $400, spending the extra $400 to getting in Tatum. Evan Mobley seems a little too expensive, $7,200. He has had a strong start to his fantasy rookie season so far. Gordon Hayward, we talked about how he's been pretty solid. Jeremy Grant, only $6,300. I think Jeremy Grant in this offense before Cade Cunningham comes back, I do think the shot volume should be in the higher teens. $6,300 for Jeremy Grant, power forward only. I do think should be one of our priorities to find a way to spend up, not spend up, put him in our lineups. I do think he falls in a great price range. No one really around him has the ceiling like he does. So I really like Jeremy Grant over there on power forward. Looking down as I'm scrolling down, no one really stands out. Covington's always a tournament option. Marcus Morris Sr., his minutes are hit 30 last time, so I do think the fantasy production will come. If he's going to play around 30 minutes, $4,900 for Marcus Morris Jr. is a solid option. Not that exciting, but he's just solid. I think he can find a way to mid to high 20s fantasy points, which is pretty good, I think. And but going all the way down, anyone that stands out to you, any scrubby scrubs that you find that you are about on DraftKings?
Scrub it up, dub, baby. On DraftKings, no, it looks pretty bleak. Al Horford is 5,900. I couldn't believe he was a play, and then I looked into it, and he needed to be a play, and then he smashed today. So he could be a play again going forward. But also, I'm seeing some of these vets, especially early on, short turnaround this year. I mean, basketball started middle of October. That's
Al
never
Horford
happened.
had a long off season. He never played for the Thunder all year long last year.
Well, I mean, he's old, so he shouldn't have, but be on the lookout for some back-to-back stuff. And again, load management, whatever you want to call it, the Durant Harden thing, and especially some of these vets. I could see it on some of these back-to-backs early on in the season, just giving them the night off. And Robert Williams, he basically took a night off in that win. They didn't really need to utilize him. They still had a 10-point win here. Jayson Tatum played great. Everybody else played solid there. So be on the lookout for Jaylen Brown. But Al Horford, in the event he goes, is fine in the mid-level. I'm just not excited on a 9-game slate to be trying to make him a thing. You can play Franz Wagner there at 4,400 on DK. I think that's probably the thing that makes me the happiest. Don't chase things like Grant Williams, who went off tonight. I know he had a nice shooting night. I don't know what the box score finished as, but I just was watching a lot of that Boston game because Jalen Green was awesome, and I really like watching him. But yeah, that's pretty much it for power forward for me over on DK. You have anything else?
No, I think we should hop on over to FanDuel.
Yeah, we got to round this one out here. We're at the 40-minute. Again, you and I could talk forever about NBA, so there's that. But FanDuel, power forward, same kind of story. A lot of super ceilings on the top end. Looking more at the value end, you can play some of these centers. Mo Bamba, Evan Mobley, who just got done burning the universe against Charlotte on Friday with only 30, came right back the next night, put up 45.7 on Saturday. In a slate that I didn't play that much because I was at the Oregon UCLA game. That was awesome. But Montrez Harrell, 5,800 there. Those minutes are there. The minutes are there for Montrez Harrell. I think he's got a price tag we can get to. Anything from the mid-range on FanDuel look good to you?
Well, Miles Turner, $5,700. He had an explosion game
What?
against.
Why is he 5,700? I just saw that.
Yeah, he's only 5,700. Explosion game 2 games ago. Came crashing down to earth the next game. So that's Miles Turner for you. I love the Montrez Harrell call in a matchup versus Brooklyn. I think he should be able to find his own in the interior non-existence defense of the Brooklyn Nets. Michael Porter Jr. 7K. Mo Bamba 6,800. I think they're great tournament options. Jeremy Grant also a great tournament option, $7,300. Jared Allen seems a little too expensive at that price tag at $7,500. Spending down a little bit, Robert Covington seems a tad too expensive, $5,300. Keep in mind he can get you there with stocks. Isaiah Stewart only $5,100. So his minutes have been in the mid-20s minutes. Isaiah Stewart last year was great. I do think at $5,100 is a pretty solid tournament option that you'd be willing to get over the field on. Aaron Gordon will always be a tournament option just because of his role on this team in Denver. His days of being Orlando Magic, the 7K Aaron Gordon are behind him. His role on this team is completely different as it should be. So he's just a solid tournament option, 4,600. His minutes can be high 20s, low 30s minutes. And at that price tag in this matchup, I think is a okay to good tournament option. But that's really about it. Nick Batum has returned to this Clippers team, is in the rotation, but it's Nick Batum at $4,400. There's a lot of other good options instead. And Nick Claxton has been starting. Nothing too exciting. He's, I think, struggling. He's finding his range offensively. You would like to see the two-man game with him and Harden get going a little bit more. So he's cheap, $3,900. We haven't talked about many guys starting with the price tag 3 today. So he's just one of those guys who's starting with the price tag 3 that we could potentially consider.
Scottie Barnes is 5,100 on FanDuel. Last guy to throw in there. Over on power forward. On Yahoo, kind of, again, same story. Mobley, $29. I mean, you have Tatum, Sabonis, Giannis. Those are the 3 super ceilings. And then there's a steep cliff coming down here to the rest of mankind. But Marcus Morris Sr., $14. Aaron Gordon, $14. None of that really looks all that appealing. John Collins, $21. That I could probably get behind. He's been $21 the entire season here. Had a great outing against Dallas, did not have a great outing versus Cleveland, but we shouldn't be looking at low sample sizes. I'm looking more at historical pricing for some of these guys. That's something our pal Greg Ehrenberg talks about a lot, is where these guys have been priced at in their past, kind of analyzing it from that perspective. But 2 guys that we haven't seen a lot of, Precious Achiuwa, $12, and Franz Wagner at $11. I think both of those tags make sense if you're trying to punt the position. You got to find savings somewhere if you want to be paying up at other spots. But power forward, I'm going to be playing a lot of Jayson Tatum if there's no Jaylen Brown at $45 and probably moving on with my day. How about yourself?
Yeah, Franz Wagner, $11 stands out. Definitely a nice spend down option over there. But spending up for guys like Giannis, Sabonis, or Giannis or Tatum, I really like Tatum's $45 price tag over there. Stands out pretty good. And Mobley, 29 is not out of play. And Jeremy Grant, 27. Guys who can have shown a ceiling. Obviously, tough not to love Giannis and Tatum at those respective price tags. Sabonis seeing that 50 mark, I'd be willing to shy away a little bit just because there's 2 guys that are sandwiched around him that just seem potentially to have a higher ceiling and definitely can burn you if you don't go to one of those 2 guys. So I think, you touched on all the great points on Yahoo, and I think we're ready to round this one out.
All right, we'll round it out. And also, if you're not a new user on Yahoo, if you're looking for another deal to get that first week or try to see what we have behind the paywall, promotion code Curry is over tomorrow. So you have to be utilizing that. Gets you 50% off. I believe it's over tomorrow, correct, Ryan?
Tomorrow is the last day for new users.
Yep, new users. So check it out. So if you have a Yahoo account, but you haven't been able to check out the tools yet, you get half off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum with promo code Curry. Just simply put that into checkout. It will be applied. That makes it $14. Just under $15 is what the number ends up being. As good as it gets. That's the same thing where you get every single thing we have behind the paywall. If you want to check out Week 8 NFL, if Week 7 didn't go the way that you wanted, there are opportunities for redemption. And part of that is checking out that promotional code Curry. All right, let's do it. Jokic, $11K. He is the most expensive player on the slate. That's okay. He continues to just smash. Super efficient, knocks down everything. Double-doubles galore. Assist rate out of this world. There's no Jamal Murray there. It's Jokic. You should be very interested if you can afford him. But he's expensive. There's no doubt. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Sabonis on DK. But then it gets to Karl Anthony Towns, 9,700, ya boy. They continue just beating up on teams. He's only played 29 minutes the first 2 outings here. He got in foul trouble against the Pellies, which is why that foul trouble was limited. I think he might turn into my highest owned center, and I have a feeling he might turn into yours too.
Yeah, big fan of Karl Anthony Towns. Fouled out last game, I believe, $9,700. Look, Cat's a 10K plus player. I know there's other guys on this team now that are taking up quite a bit of shot volume, but Cat's going to get his as he should. He's their best offensive player. Definitely like that Cat price tag. I do love Jokic as an option as well. 11K. It'll be tough. I think a lot of people will want to spend up for guys like Harden. Giannis and Jokic probably project very similarly. You do save 600 off Jokic to Giannis. Giannis also has center eligibility, so it'll be interesting to see if a low-owned Jokic. I mean, a low-owned Jokic is the best type of Jokic, and 11K Jokic can put up 80. We've seen it time and time again. So Nikola Jokic is a great tournament option. Spending a little bit down. Vooch is kind of in an island at 9K. Just like there's no one priced near him within $900. Bamba's the next center. So I do think that alone is going to put Vooch at a very low owned option. He doesn't really stand out to me the way I'm looking at things right now. So he's fine. That makes him an excellent tournament option because of that reason. Nurkic, 7K. Nurkic has a pretty strong start to this season, I want to say. He's had a great first game. He's just not, I don't know what Chauncey Billups is going to do with his minutes. You'd love to see Nurkic play 30-plus minutes consistently. He's yet to pass that threshold. I think there's an opportunity against this Clippers team for him to do that. And once Nurkic starts playing north of 30 minutes, I mean, there was a time in the bubble where he was absolutely smashing. So we'd love to see that come back again. Robert Williams, 6,100. He burned everyone and their mom today. I think we can go back to that, $6,100. Recency bias. Hopefully he turns things around. And Mo Bamba has been getting the minutes. So Mo Bamba, if he's going to get those minutes, I do think he's going to produce at great fantasy rates. So I do like that $6,100 price tag. Anyone else in the cheaper range? It's really tough to spend down on center. We talked about such great studs.
Yeah, there's a lot of studs. I think you wait until we get to a guy on FanDuel, you're not going to believe his price. But on DK, I think it's about appropriate for most of these guys. I mean, I'm going to try to get to Cat as much as I can at 9,700. I think if you had to prioritize the studs on this slate, I think James Harden, 9,500 with no Kyrie Irving, it makes so much sense to just play a ton of him. And he's going to start putting it together. Nikola Jokic at 11K is just so expensive that I think Cat probably ends up being my priority between the two. And I can still probably fit another stud alongside them with some of these builds, depending on the value that emerges, depending on the Beal news, the Jaylen Brown news, so many things yet to come out. Kyle Lowry news as well. Might find some options for some mid-tier plays as well. But yeah, on DK, it's a little bit different. I mean, this center rotation for Washington, Daniel Gafford's just not playing the minutes whatsoever here. Montrez Harrell comes in and plays way more minutes, it would seem. And I mean, you had the crazy shootout game with Indiana, 135-134 there. I believe that went to just one overtime, right? Or two? Just one?
I believe the Indiana-Washington game?
Yeah, the Washington-Indiana game.
I think it went to two.
Oh, it did go to two? Okay. I just
so.
know that it went nuts, and he played 34 minutes, which I don't expect, but 27 minutes, just not a thing to check out until the prices start dropping, I mean, maybe below 5K here, but against Brooklyn, it's not like they have a true front court. Claxton out there living his life might be something to take advantage of. Achua is now up to 4,500 on DK. Claxton would probably be the cheapest on one to go, 3,600. I think that would make some sense, but the minutes are going to be erratic. Maybe you can get there. I guess Isaiah Hardenstein finally entered the rotation, put up 21 at 3,500, but probably just a pass there as well. I don't see a whole lot under 4K.
Yeah, I don't either. And it's tough to really justify that decision. And when you're going to sacrifice so much, guys, like you said, Cat, Jokic, and Valanciunas stands out at that $7,900 price tag. So those guys are just the opportunity cost. It's really going to burn you if you really don't get a super smash spot out of your value. And no one really stands out like that right now.
Yeah, there's somebody who stands out to me on FanDuel. You ready?
Let's do
Jonas Valanciunas is 6,600.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's probably like $2,000 too cheap.
Yep.
I think Valanciunas at that price tag should be definitely priced much higher than that. I mean, he dropped 54 and zero point 0.4 FanDuel points in the same matchup. It's going to be very popular, very, very popular, and rightfully so. And I think if you want to come in with the field or even higher the field, I won't blame you. I really like that price tag. Everything, all the boxes are checked for him to have a good, another nice fantasy performance if he stays out of foul trouble. I mean, he put Cat in foul trouble, so clearly he was dominating that matchup on his end. So really like that price tag. 10-9 for Cat, 11-1 for Jokic. Definitely think the difference here is preferring Jokic, finding those extra $200 to get to Jokic makes a lot more sense. Vooch is only $8,700. Thing that you said, he's cheaper over here on FanDuel, and I definitely think $8,700 is a fine tournament option. Other guys, Sabonis 9,600 is fine. Capella, I think his minutes are just going to be a tad limited early on in the season. I don't think we'll see like the mid 30s, upper 30s minutes he got in the playoffs, but anytime soon. And Capella's had an injury history in the past, so that's something to keep an eye on. I don't think I'd be that interested in him. We talked about Bamba. $6,800 here is fine. I do think going to $6,400 Mobley makes more sense, but Al Horford, who smashed today, do you think we can go back to Al Horford on FanDuel $6,100, or is that just like we're just going to miss out on Valanciunas' price tag?
No, I talked about him already. I mean, he's somebody that on DK you can play on FanDuel. Probably less interested at 6,100, but he's fine. He's just fine. I mean, he's just gone nuts here now. I believe he put up 47.5 on FanDuel today. Big number. I wouldn't be surprised if you rested. I'm just throwing it out there, so be on the lookout. But Robert Williams, 7,100. Maybe a bounce back candidate. Not that I expect his minutes to be crazy like they were in that overtime fiesta against the Knicks, that double overtime. I believe that one was double overtime with Jaylen Brown's eruption game opening night for them in the Garden. That must have been a fun one to be at. But let's jump over to Yahoo and round this puppy out. Montrez.
He's only $14.
See, so there you go. That's a price correction. Yeah, click on him. That's probably the last player we'll even mention. I mean, it gets a little bit. I mean, all the pricing is great except for $14 for him, it looks like.
Yeah, everyone else is priced pretty appropriately. I mean, Cat $45 is strong. Valanciunas is only $32 here, but Montrez at $14, Bamba at $19. Those guys definitely stand out, but it's really tough to move off that Montrez $14 price tag. Over there on our sponsor, Yahoo. Makes for a strong option. The matchup should be great. And plus, if there's no Bill, there should be even a better, just a better route for him to produce even more. So, yeah, Montrez at 14 is really tough to avoid.
Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba both at 19 and 18. I think that's probably an advantageous number for both of them. But, yeah, I love the Cat play. I mean, you and I are going to ride and die with Cat, I think, tomorrow. That's going to be healthy for us. Incoming 2 fouls in 3 minutes. Yay. Just calling it now. Anything else for you at center on Yahoo?
No, I think there's a ton of hopefully there's some pending news that will open up some value to potentially make our lineup stars and scrubs. But as of right now, there's a bunch of stars, not that many scrubs. So hopefully those things will turn around.
All right, my guy, man, 50. We gave the people what they wanted tonight, I think. That was a marathon one. Enjoyed it. It's getting the week started right. That's the way that I look at it. Check out the promotion we have going with Yahoo, of course. If you're a new user, $10 or more, just sign up, deposit. Put it in any contest you want whatsoever, and you'll get that free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Also, the last day for the Curry promotion. Check that as well. But, Ryan, any final words for the people?
No. Make sure to, if you're a new user to the site, awesemo.com/promos, definitely sign up for that Curry promotion. But thanks so much for yet again tuning in.
He's Ryan. He's Sharp. I'm Eric. I'm not dull, but something in the middle. We'll catch you later.